This July the 2nd picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with our promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, the 1st of July, and we are here to handicap a full card of action across MLB for Tuesday, July the 2nd. Joining me from somewhere in New York is Mr. Scott Reichel. Scott, first day of Wimbledon today. Are you a big Wimbledon fan? The grass court and all that? Does that do it for you?
I'm a fan of making money. I mean, I don't care where they play I don't care where they play the matches. They played on the moon. If I can find an angle on it, I'm going to bet on it. But yeah, I've been keeping busy with Wimbledon. So far, so good. I ended up sweeping the tennis pod for the men's side for the first round, so hopefully that ends up continuing. Unfortunately, didn't get the full sweep though. I had a YouTube play, and Sinner ended up losing a set, which was not what I had in the cards for me. But still swept the podcast, so can't complain. Did a women's podcast too, so hopefully those matches sweep as well for the Tuesday matches.
Yeah, I didn't even realise it had started today until I flicked the telly on this afternoon and saw a few games. But I've been stuck into the Euros again today, Scott. Had a better day today. Took France on the money line there, got the job done late. And then took the under 2.5 in the game that we're currently watching, which is like a dog with fleas, this game. It's been horrible, Portugal and Slovenia. So we're live sweating Slovenia to advance at plus 225. So if you see me fall off my chair, I'll go for a random celebration. Also, it meant Bob's avoided going to bed because he should be in bed, but it's got no extra time. And you can't make a small boy go to bed when a game's got no extra time and the penalty shootout's doing. So we've got company. Bob's sitting here. The chat was live and kicking. Josh was in early doors. Josh with a list of demands. Josh wanted. He wanted 2 run line winners, 2 money line winners, 2 overs, 2 unders, and 2 dogs. So if you can rustle that up, Scott, Josh will be appreciative. Gio was in there as well, saying nice things. Gio, how you doing? Did you too much football talk? I know it's a $2 fine. Did you enjoy England last night, Scott?
It was a nice bicycle kick. I enjoyed nice goals.
Yeah,
and
that was good.
The Kane goal to start the extra time was definitely solid as well. Feels kind of disappointing though. We had 2 matches today and 1 own goal. That's the only goal we got in both games combined. So really not a great day for football.
The entire tournament's pivoted to the unders after match day 1. Me and Baz done the stats of the day. I think it was 6 of 8. So 6 and 2 to the overs. And since then, it was something like 6 and 22 to the unders. So it's absolutely pivoted. But yeah, not much happening around MLB today. 3 games today. Bit of a weird little Monday card. I know you did the show last night, Scott, and you did some futures picks, didn't you?
Yeah, we went through the divisions. So we went through some updated odds.
But we are back on the horse tomorrow with a full card of 15 games, which we'll get to. I'm going to tell you first about the latest episode of SGP Stories out on Patreon. This is an incredible series. It's loads of fun. So the guys do a forensic files style deep dive on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle accident that cost him his job. And you also need to check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast, as Terrell and one Scott Reichel have started out red hot with their locks. We will start MLB tomorrow at 6:40 Eastern between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Kyle Gibson goes for the Cards. Mitch Keller goes for the Pirates, who are minus 125 at home. The Cardinals are plus 105. Total is set at 8.5. So there's not much between these 2 teams at all, really. There's 3 games between them in the standings. That could change in a heartbeat. That could change this week. St. Louis are slightly in better form. Kyle Gibson is fairly consistent. He does give up his fair share of stuff, but he has been excellent on the road. He's had 7 road starts this year, 2.68 ERA. Mitch Keller, fairly similar form to Gibson. Now, his last 4 starts have gone 0, 4, 0, and 3. But the key to that is the 2 scoreless starts were his 2 home starts, where he does have a 2.36 ERA. So we've got 2 pitchers going here with ERAs of well under 3 in their home road splits. That's a full 1.6 runs per game, actually, better than his road ERA for Mitch Keller. I've got a slight preference for Pittsburgh at minus 125, but I do like a little low-key pitching, Julia, a little first 5 underscore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the under as my main play in this game. Not much separating these teams. I would lean to Pittsburgh just because I think Keller's been better than Gibson this season, but it has been close. I think it's going to be a rock fight. I think that both pitchers have been solid recently. You mentioned Keller's numbers at home, Gibson's numbers on the road. Gibson also eats up a lot of innings, which should limit the, I'd say, Cardinals' workload with the bullpen, which is definitely good. So I'll go with the under. I think you're going to see a lower scoring game. I see an 8.5. The line feels too high to me. Give me some type of like 4-2 final.
Trev's joined us in the chat. Trev, how you doing? Nice to have you along. Next up tomorrow is 6:40 Eastern first pitch between the Chicago White Sox and the Cleveland Guardians. Chris Flexen draws the start for the White Sox. Carlos Carrasco will go for Cleveland, who are $2 favourites, minus 200. The White Sox plus 175. Total at 9. I found this quite tricky because no one ever wants the White Sox particularly. But Carrasco's quite hard to get behind, Scott, at $2.
Yeah, you know who has a winning record against Cleveland so far this season?
Do they really?
They do. They're
Oh,
4-3.
flexing up.
White
Oh,
Sox
well,
are
there you
4-3
go.
so far this season. So yeah, kind of weird how that works. You have one of the best records in the American League against the worst team in the entire league, and the worst team has a winning record against this team. So yeah, White Sox have been randomly decent against this opposition, but both pitchers have been rough so far this season. Carrasco got to go through the last couple outings, though. He has been better. He has allowed less than 3 earned in 3 of his last 4 starts. Flexen's been a mess. Cleveland was not very good over the weekend against Kansas City. I think the run line's actually intriguing here. I mentioned that it's about $2 as a favorite, but that doesn't mean you can get the run line at a pretty good price since they are the home team. Plus 110 on Cleveland minus 1.5. I find that pretty appealing. You have the best bullpen in the league against one of the worst. I think Cleveland can hang in there with Carrasco pitching decently like he has the last 2 outings. Give me Cleveland minus 1.5 at plus money.
Yeah, that was the bet that I came down on, Scott. I went all around the houses here trying to have a look at this because Flexen throws the odd good start, and his junior RA was 4.32, which is down. He's going in the right direction. It's not totally horrible. But Carrasco's last 2 have been really good. 11 innings pitched, only giving up 3 earned runs in them 2 against fairly dangerous offenses as well in Baltimore and the Blue Jays. And I do like that trend. He's better at home. Cleveland, astonishingly good at home, 26 and 9. But they've only covered it. The run line's only cashed 18 and 17. So I didn't really love it. Yeah, tricky. I'll take both SPs to back up their recent good form, Scott. I'm actually going to take an under. I looked at the first 5 under, but then you factor in that Cleveland bullpen as well. So I'm going to take the under 9 on this one. Portugal have a penalty, Scott. I don't know if you're watching the game.
I'm not.
Cristiano Ronaldo is about to get his first goal of the tournament and ruin me and Bob's little £7.50 bet.
He was tied. He was tied with Lukaku for who did the least so far in the tournament. And
Least amount of anything.
Lukaku was a waste of space, but at least Ronaldo might score.
Right, I'll give you 2 seconds. He's missed.
That's fun.
Oh, the goalie's made a great save. That's brilliant. Oh, Bob nearly fell off his chair. Enjoyed that a lot. Sorry, everyone. I know you come here to listen to the baseball. I'm fining myself $2 every time I mention this. 6:40 Eastern first pitch. The Boston Red Sox at the Miami Marlins. Cutter Crawford for the Red Sox. And for Miami, it's a new name on me. It's a great name. One of my new favourites is Valente Bellozzo. Goes for the Marlins. So a plus 140. The Red Sox are minus 161. Total here is 8.5. Start with Valente Bellozzo. He's had one start, pitched 5 innings scoreless against KCR in a game that Miami lost 5-1. Sorry, that's fair enough. Other than that, I don't know an awful lot about him. Better off kind of leaving him out here. Cutter Crawford's reliable, if not brilliant. Sort of good start. Cutter Crawford doesn't vary from, if he has a good start, he gives up 2. If he has a bad start, he gives up 4. That's kind of it. They're the 2 options, really, with the odd 3 thrown in. But he's got a 288 road ERA. I think that's the key stat. I think even if Bellozzo pitches well here, the Red Sox can win kind of comfortably. They still score plenty of runs, Boston. So yeah, Boston run line, I took here, Scott.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to disagree a little bit. I'm going to go Miami first 5 in this game. I don't know much about the opposing pitcher. He's been okay so far in very limited action this season. Crawford, as you said, hands out multiple runs in basically every start. He's allowed at least 3 earned in 5 of his last 6. So if you're expecting him to give up probably 3 or maybe even 2 in the first 5, then you might end up seeing a pretty decent opportunity for Miami to get the job done in the first 5 innings. Don't want the bullpen, though, for Miami. This team is really still not good. Hitting better recently, though. They looked pretty good over the weekend against a pretty depleted Phillies team. Probably should have won the series, but they blew the game on Sunday. So I'll go with the Marlins first 5. I just think that Crawford should give up a couple runs, and they've not been playing good baseball recently. Red Sox were in good form, then they kind of wavered over the last week pitching-wise. I'll lean to Miami first 5.
Ronaldo's crying his eyes out. Have you got the game on, Scott?
I'm not watching anything. My recording area has a TV that's like half behind me, so like it's not even worth it.
Right. It's half time in extra time, so it's in the middle of the game.
That's
Ronaldo's,
okay.
he's sobbing like a baby. What an absolute knob.
Because he hasn't scored.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's 15 minutes left yet. Pull yourself together.
I know. Man. He's used to Saudi defenses. He had like 30, 40 goals in the season.
It's preposterous. Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live. You can create your entries with up to 8 picks. Underdog automatically double flex them so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win. More picks to make and extra ways to win. The excitement is higher than ever. You can win up to 325 times your original amount. So don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Use our code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MLB SGPN. And the Circus Survivor, do not forget that. Great fun. The SGPN boys will all be involved. $16 million in guaranteed prizes in the Circus Survivor and Circa Millions. The Millions, you pick 5 NFL teams against the spread, or you play the Survivor, run the gauntlet to claim the $10 million first prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports, then you can play from anywhere using our proxy. We got a deal with the proxy as well. Footballcontestproxy.com will save you $50 with the promo code SGP. Next on the card, 6:45 Eastern, first pitch is the New York Mets at the Washington Nationals. 2 lefties going here. Sean Manaea for the Mets and J.D. Hertz goes for the Nationals. Minus 135 New York, plus 115 Washington. Total here at 9.5, Scott.
Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of Manaea, but the Mets have done very well against the Nationals so far this season. We'll see how they look against Gore tonight. The Mets were okay over the weekend against Houston. We know that they've been in good form recently over the last couple weeks at this point. The Nationals have been fine as well, so it is a bit tricky. Both pitchers, though, have been, I'd say, I don't want to say untrustworthy, but it kind of has been a mixed bag for Hers, who had the insane start against the Marlins, but besides that, he's been pretty vulnerable, and I think Manaea as a whole has been fine. Didn't pitch that well against the Yankees from what I remember, but I do know that he in general has an ERA below 4. He's reliable. That's good enough for me. Mets have also been hitting the ball well lately. I'll go with Manaea. I think that the Mets can get the job done. So I'll go with the Mets money line at around -130.
Yeah, team right, Scott. Mariah's pitched well lately. He's been actually quite a big part in this Mets resurgence that we saw. Mets will have been disappointed to lose that weird game last night. The scores were tied after 9 innings, and then it rained for about 4 hours, and I didn't see what happened until this morning. And suddenly, Houston had won 10-5. I had to check that I had the right day, but Houston scored 5 runs in the top of the 10th, I think it was. But Mariah's got a 3.16 road ERA in his 6 games started, which is very good. DJ Hurts hasn't made it out of the third inning in his last twice, giving up 3 and 4 earned runs. They'll get a little boost today through James Wood, 6'7". Does he get shortstop? Where does he play, Wood? Top of my head, I can't remember. Scott, do you know?
I'm not sure where they're going to have him for this game. I want to see if it's actually confirmed where he's going to be playing today. I thought he was an outfielder.
He looks very similar to CJ
I
Abrams, actually. But yeah, they'll get a little boost from him. He's going to be fun to watch. I think he's the overall third MLB pipeline prospect. But yeah, I just prefer the Mets in this position.
He's an outfielder. He's
They're
playing
in
left
far
field.
better form than okay. They're in far better form than Washington. So that I'll take the Mets at that price of -135.
Yeah, I misspoke, by the way.
705 Eastern.
Sorry, I misspoke.
Go on,
Manaea was
mate.
actually good against the Yankees. He was not very good against Texas last time out. So
Yes,
the last
that's
couple
right.
road starts, he was a bit up and down against Texas. 5 2/3, 3 runs there. Road start before that was 5 innings, 2 runs against the Marlins. So he's fine. Doesn't go much length, though. So just keep that in mind. If he does pitch well, it's probably going to be just for 5 or maybe into the 6th inning.
7:05 Eastern first pitch is the Cincinnati Reds at the New York Yankees. Graham Ashcraft for the Reds and Lewis Hill will go for the Yankees tomorrow. -180 are the pinstripes at home. The Reds +160. Total is set at 8.5. Graham Ashcraft spent most of June in AAA due to poor form, but because of injuries, he's back and was in poor form when he returned. He gave up 6 earned runs against Pittsburgh last week. He currently just doesn't have it. Graham Ashcraft got quite a lot of smoke from this show last year. I thought he pitched really well, and we had high hopes for him, but he just doesn't have it at the minute. You can't back him until he puts together a little sequence, and he can't put a sequence of one together currently. Lewis Hill, he's lost it as well. He's given up 12 earned runs in his last 2 starts. I can't trust either. I think the total's really quite low because the Yankees remain a potent offense, regardless of who's the oppo, and Hill can give up a few. I'm very happy to take over 8.5, Scott.
Yeah, I agree. I like the over. I think the line's too short. Now, the Reds have been shut out in 2 of their last 3 games, but I do think based on where the price is and based on the current form of these pitchers, I'm going to have to go with the over because the Yankees had a very weird series against Toronto where they played 4 games and every game was decided by 7+ runs, which is something you don't see ever. And they split the 4 games. So it was just an alternating ass kicking by each team. Toronto won the first game 9-2. Yankees won the next game 16-5. Toronto won the next game 9-3. Yankees won the Sunday game 8-1. So I don't know what to make of that series. But I see runs, so I'll go with the over, and this total's too short.
Okay. A bit of lockstep going on here, Scott. 7:07 Eastern first pitch. The Houston Astros at the Toronto Blue Jays. Spencer Arrighetti for Houston. Jose Barrios will go for Toronto. This one's tight on the books, pretty much a match. We have the Blue Jays at -115 with the Astros at -105. Total of 8.5, Scott.
Yeah, do we know if Vlad Jr. is going to play in this game? Because he ended up missing Monday.
I don't know that. The only note I had on Vladdy was that he won Player of the Week last week. But no, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, he got hit in the hand on Sunday, and he ended up
Yeah,
staying in
yes,
the
okay.
game, but he ended up getting scratched for Monday. So with him potentially being out of the lineup, I'll go with Houston. They've been one of the hottest teams in the league based on how they've been performing, and I may or may not have recommended betting them about a month ago, and I did it again yesterday for Houston to win the division. They're 3.5 back of Seattle. I think that they're going to catch this team, but they're in good form. I think Houston has some value here. So without knowing if Vlad Jr. is going to play, Arrighetti is horrible, so I am aware of that, but I can't trust Toronto if I don't know if Vladdy's going to be in the lineup or not. They're useless. You're watching them right now. Like they have no runs. Vlad's the entire offense. They can't do anything. So it's really tricky because I think Arrighetti is a horrible pitcher, but I really don't want Toronto in this game. So I might be considering the under. I mean, Arrighetti was really good last start against Colorado. Colorado's a fake baseball team, especially on the road. I'm on the fence here. I'm going to lean under. I'm going to basically just dare Toronto's offense to do anything if Vlad Jr. isn't going to be in the lineup. I think Berrios is fine. I'll lean to the under in this game. A hot take, Arrighetti under.
Scott, I think you were right at the first with your first pick, saying you take Houston. I prefer the trajectory of Houston, and I prefer the trajectory of Arrighetti. He was good last time, but actually he's got more good starts and bad starts recently in his game log. Arrighetti is going to have a strong second half of the season, Scott. I'm going to plant my flag now. I'm going to be following Arrighetti. Arrighetti's going to make us money between now and the end of September, possibly even into October. Who knows? Yeah, 4 of his last 5 have been really, really good. Berrios is largely fine. He's pitched a lot at home. Just one of the quirks of the schedule. He's got a 2.39 home ERA. But Houston are in way better form. And like you say, the Blue Jays are hard to trust at any time. And with a little question mark over Vladdy, I'm happy to take Houston at -105. 7:20 Eastern first pitch between the San Francisco Giants and the Atlanta Braves. My new favourite name in all of MLB. Pitches for the Giants. It is Hayden Birdsong. What a great name. He'll go for the Giants, and Ronaldo Lopez is on the mound for the Atlanta Braves. -185 Atlanta, +165 the Giants. Total here is at 8.5. Hayden Birdsong, I'm going to say that a lot in the next 60 seconds or so, pitched really well against the Cubs on his debut. He gave up a home run on what was his last pitch. I think it was always going to be his last pitch of the game. And he gave up a home run, which just kind of it took the shine off that start a little bit. Not terribly. I mean, I think they still won the game, and he didn't give up a ton. This is a tougher assignment. Home against the Cubs in that big ballpark is a little bit different to on the road against the Braves. Lopez continues just to throw up ridiculous numbers. He's got a 1.11 home ERA. He's got a 1.64 June ERA. And the Giants are much, much worse on the road than they are at home. I'm going to take an Atlanta run line.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a trivia question. Do you know how many straight starts Lopez has allowed less than 3 earned?
How many? Ooh, 9.
That is correct. That is well done. That is correct. Yeah, the answer is 9. He's been incredible. You mentioned the home numbers. I'm going to throw out there that the Braves have also covered on the run line in 5 straight starts for Lopez. So, yeah, you might get plus money. In fact, if you actually look for the Braves -1.5, I see +110. Yeah, sign me up.
Oh, wow.
Birdsong? I'm good. No, I'll take Lopez instead.
It's a lovely name, though, Scott.
Oh, it's a great name. Not maybe for a pitcher, but it's a good name. It's a good name for like a Disney character, but not for a baseball pitcher.
Oh no, Slovenia just missed a golden chance to win it, Scott. 5
you saved
minutes
the pen.
left.
You just take the pens at this point. You saved the Ronaldo pen, so you got to just accept it. Whatever happens
maybe.
after that.
They could have nicked it there though. 7:40 Eastern first pitch. The Detroit Tigers at the Minnesota Twins. Left-handed pitcher Tarek Skubal for the Tigers, and one of the biggest names in baseball, Simeon Woods Richardson, will go for the Minnesota Twins, who are even money at home. The Tigers are -120. The total is 7. I keep changing my mind on this game every 30 seconds, so I'm going to let you make your case and see if you can convince me, Scott.
Yeah, I'll just back Scooball, I guess. Detroit can hit, which is a problem, but the last couple games they've been okay against the Angels. So maybe they can scratch together enough to potentially cash a first five. But the Tigers had scored less than 3 runs in, I don't even know, like 80% of the games the last couple of weeks, and they ended up scoring 5+ in back-to-back games against the Angels. Scooball's incredible. Just watching him shut down the Phillies, a healthy Phillies team, about a week ago or so was something to watch. He was great. Minnesota's a team that relies heavily on home runs, but they strike out a lot. I think Scooball's going to pitch well here. I think that at the end of the day, it's going to be a lower scoring game because I don't trust Detroit's offense, but I like Scooball. I'll go Detroit first five.
Okay, yeah, I took Detroit as well, and you haven't attempted to talk me out of it. I think Baltimore hit their 60th. Oh, sorry, did they? I saw some weird stat about someone hitting the 60th home run last year, and Detroit weren't even close. It was like two Baltimore players that hit 60 between them or something, and Detroit had hit not even that all year. Terrible stat because I don't know what it is, but it was pretty good when I read it.
I'm assuming you're right because I'm trying to think of who else it would be. I mean, Henderson and Santander have a bunch of home runs. Yankees have Judge, but I don't think Soto's like that close to him. So it probably is Baltimore, as you guys are
It
mentioning.
was
Not
something like
60,
that, and
but it's not. I
no,
don't
it
think it's
wasn't
60, but it's
60.
probably like 50 and change.
Yeah, um, yeah. Skubal bounced back last time at home against the Phillies, 7 scoreless, which was very good. His last 2 road starts were the issue. So you either have to decide, is he dodgy on the road, or is that Philly performance a genuine bounce back? And I'm happy to trust the latter. I'm happy to trust that he can follow that up. Simeon Woods Richardson has been good, if not great. Not many patterns in his game log. I was struggling to find something to get my teeth into with Woods Richardson. Um, and actually, you talked about the White Sox leading the series on the season against Cleveland earlier on. Detroit lead Minnesota 4 games to 3 on the season series. So just a couple of little things that tipped it in Detroit's favour, really. I think Skubal can back it up. In Detroit, I've been doing okay against the Twins, so -120, I think, is a reasonable bet. We will move on. Once I've told you about, I'm just waiting for the old Matt Breeder laptop to fire up. Takes its time. It doesn't like doing 2 things at once. It's a bit like me in that respect. Rhythm is what we're going to talk about. If you are betting on player props and you need to download Rhythm, Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights. It's unlike other platforms. Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, which makes your betting both easy and enjoyable. The projections on Rhythm have been red hot for WNBA, and the golf's been really good too. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Okay, next up we have 8:05 Eastern first pitch is the San Diego Padres at the Texas Rangers. Dylan Cease for the Padres. I handicapped Yu Darvish this afternoon. That's the first time I've seen Cease's name on there. Nathan Eovaldi goes for Texas. Close on the books, -105. The Padres, -115. Texas, total is 7.5. I'll throw this to you, Scott, on the grounds that I've handicapped the wrong pitcher.
Yeah, Cease has been pretty good lately, but we know San Diego has been also pretty good lately. The Padres have won 9 of their last 11, so they have been in good form. Did lose the series finale against the Red Sox, so we'll see if they're going to regress, if they'll be able to keep it going. Knowing San Diego, probably regress because that's what they always do. Eovaldi's been fine, so I do think it should be an interesting pitchers matchup. Langford had a cycle yesterday on Sunday Night Baseball, so
Yes,
he had
he did.
himself a great game. So I think it's going to be a close matchup. I actually don't mind the first 5 under in this game. I'm going to back Cease for once in some capacity, but I think Eovaldi can pitch pretty well too. So give me a lower scoring game here to start. I'm not going to trust the bullpens, but you're looking at a total of, sorry, just quickly trying to pull up what the total is. Total in this
Seven
one
and a
is set
half.
at around 8. Yeah, 7.5 or 8. So you could probably find a 4 in the first 5, maybe a 4.5, but probably closer to 4. I don't mind the first 5 under. I see a lower scoring start to this game.
So the presence of Cease instead of Darvish doesn't really change much for me.
I think it should. Darvish has
Uvalde,
been what? He's been on the IL for a couple weeks at this point. I would have faded Darvish immediately if he was pitching instead of Cease in this one, personally.
but Darvish's numbers were great. I mean, we have to talk about it. His raw DRA was great. He's got one bad start, really. But Uvalde just hasn't been as sharp in June. And the Padres are in much better form. I think 8-2 in the last 10. I didn't mind the prices. It's a bit of a toss-up, really. But in that case, I would just lean towards the Padres at -105. Next up, 8:05 Eastern first pitch. The Philadelphia Phillies at the Chicago Cubs. We have a new name here. Michael Mercado gets the start for the Phillies. Hayden Wesneski will go for the Cubs. The Cubs are favourites here, -125. The Phillies +110. Total is 9.5. So yeah, Michael Mercado has thrown one scoreless inning. He's thrown one in the majors against Detroit on June the 24th. But he's been pressed into action here. A couple of pitches to the IL, haven't they, Philly? Taiwan Walker and Spencer Turnbull have both gone down. So Mercado will fill a traditional starting pitcher role here. It's not an opener. It's not a bullpen game. They're going to let him go as long as they can. He's actually got quite a similar profile and his path to this spot in his career to Christopher Sanchez, we talked about last week, getting that 4-year extension at Philly, pitching really, really well. Almost out of nowhere, Sanchez came from. And Mercado kind of has a similar thing going on. He's been really good in AAA. Started 10 games to a 171 ERA. So there's some high hopes, expecting a bit of ERA regression. No one's expecting him to come and throw a 170. But I think Mercado can do okay here. I like Hayden Wesneski generally. He's a genuine swingman. Half the games he starts, half the time it's long relief. But my last note that I made about 7 hours ago was that if Philly are a workable price here, I'll take them with Mercado. And +110, I'm delighted with that. Yeah, Philly for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree. You're looking at Wisniewski, who's been pretty good this season, but as you said before, goes no length at all. Cubs bullpen? Yeah, why not? I'll fade the Cubs bullpen. That sounds kind of fun. I think Philly, missing Harper and missing Schwarber, of course, are being priced accordingly because they were underwhelming offensively over the weekend. Did wake up on Sunday, though, as they ended up coming back and winning. But I do think Philly at +110 is a bit too appealing for me. The Cubs, I believe, have lost 5 of their last 7. The bullpen's terrible. Wisniewski goes no distance. I'm not saying that they're going to get a great pitching performance from the starter in this one, but I think that for the sake of the line, I can't trust Chicago to lay against a good team when they can't ever close games that are winning. If games were 6 innings long, I might take them. But unfortunately for Chicago, they're 9 innings. So they can't piece together the back end of the bullpen. So give me Philly, a plus money.
Yes, team ride on Philly as a dog. Don't get that much. Football's got a penalty, Scott. I will try and hold it together for the next 10 minutes. 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Tampa Bay Rays at the Kansas City Royals. Zach Littell for the Rays and Brady Singer for Kansas City. -120 home favourites, the Royals. Tampa Bay Rays are even money. Total is 9, Scott.
Yeah, so Kansas City just keeps finding ways to win at home. It seems like nobody can really stop them from winning at home. So it's tough to go against them because their home road splits are pretty alarming. Tampa so far this season, you're looking at their record and they are at 500, which sounds about right. They're 19-17 on the road. Kansas City, though, is 8 over, but they're 14 over at home. I think I'm going to go with Kansas City here. Singer's been better than Littell so far this season. Littell does give up a decent amount of contact. Singer's a 2.8 ERA at home, and he's allowed just 2 runs in his last 2 starts combined. Give me Kansas City. This team just invents ways to win at home. So I'll go with the Royals.
I took the total on this one. I took the under 9, Scott. Zach Littell's last 2 have been better. Short starts, still only 5 innings pitched. Looking at his numbers, I think he'll be okay, though, and the Rays have won his last 2. Singer pitching really well. 1 earned run in each of his last 2. It just looks like an under. We talk of these central teams at home. Kansas City are good at home, but I didn't want to fade the Rays. All they're telling this for, so I'm happy to take the under 9. Can we get 2 Ronaldo missed penalties in the same podcast? No, the bastard scored this time.
This one
that would have been
counted for
some sort
less
of
than the
world record if
previous
we
one.
did.
So there you go.
Yeah. 8:40 Eastern first pitch. The Milwaukee Brewers at the Colorado Rockies. Now this has got fun written all over it. Dallas Keuchel, left-handed pitcher for the Brewers, and Ryan Feltner will go for the Rockies. Minus 125 for the Brewers, plus 105 for the Rockies. Total here is at 11.5. I tried to get Bob to predict the score on this earlier on, and even in his very, very limited knowledge of baseball, he said someone's going to win this 9-8. So he was well and truly in the right ballpark, because that's what I'm thinking as well. I mean, Dallas Keuchel, where's he come from? Absolute madness. Signed last week, started, pitched 4 innings, gave up 5 earned runs against Texas. He has 2 appearances in Coors in his lifetime.
He's terrible.
7 2/3, 10 earned runs in those 7 2/3. No thanks, Dallas Keuchel, for me. Feltner occasionally goes well on the road, but he gives up tons of shit at home, tons of everything. I predicted this total actually would be 12.5, so it's come out one fewer than that. But yeah, absolutely want the over, Scott.
Yeah, I like the over too. I'm thinking if I want to go for the Rockies team total over, because Keuchel I think is going to get destroyed in this outing. Yeah, give me the over. I even see even money on 11.5. You might want an all total in this one. I think either team could maybe score 10 if you were talking about an absolute like implosion by either guy. If I told you Keuchel came out and threw 3 1/3, gave up 8 runs, would you be shocked? Of course not. If I told you Feltner allowed 8 runs and 3 1/3, would you be shocked? Of course not. So over. Both pitchers might just be absolutely atrocious. So yeah, give me runs. I think that the game might be a toss-up because both pitchers are that bad. I don't know if I want to take a side. Give me runs. I don't care who scores.
Yeah, Bob's 9-8 might be spot on. Trev's telling us that the Brewers are 5-10 in their last 15 at the Rockies, which is a great start. Trev, we like that. I tell you what, Slovenia are really bad at taking penalties, Scott. They have missed all 3. 3 out of 3 they've missed. Well done, everybody there. 9:40 Eastern first pitch.
Are they down 3-0?
The LA Angels at the Oakland Athletics. It is Jose Soriano for the Angels, Mitch Spence for Oakland. Tight on the books, this one. Angels minus 115, Oakland minus 105. Total of 8, Scott.
Yeah, so the Angels had a pretty interesting series against Detroit where they had to come back against the bullpen and they ended up losing the game on Sunday. They've been scoring. Oakland, we know, is a lot better at home than on the road, but damn, this team can't hit. They are really bad offensively. So that's why the total's so low. I kind of understand it. Spence's season has been okay. I feel like people have been kind of propping him up because he's on the A's, but if you look at his numbers, he has been struggling a bit lately, as he has allowed at least 4 runs in 3 of his last 5. Did face off against the Angels in LA last start, got buried 5 1/3 to 6 runs, but now he's at home. So I'm going to lean to the Angels here. I just saw the Angels beat this guy, and I'm getting a good price, and Oakland can't hit. So I'll go with the Angels. This team offensively might not have a lot of talent on paper. I think they got like Sano batting cleanup. This team's a mess, but they're better than Oakland at scoring. So I'll go with the Angels.
Yes, completely agree, Scott. Soriano was pitching okay. He's got a 2.33 road ERA. And the Angels, I've put the playing okay. They're not really playing okay. They're playing better than Oakland, though. Oakland are regressing really quite hard at the moment. Spence gives up plenty of stuff. Oakland have lost 8 of his last 9. There's nothing to recommend Oakland in some little ticks in boxes for the Angels, namely Soriano's road performance. Yeah, I thought it's a fair price, really, bit of a match. So yeah, Angels at minus 115. The penultimate game on the show is a good one, really good one. Probably pick of the day, I reckon. 9:40 Eastern first pitch between the Baltimore Orioles and the Seattle Mariners. We have Grayson Rodriguez for Baltimore and George Kirby goes for the Mariners. Even money, Seattle Baltimore favourites at -120. Total here is 6.5. Very rarely see a 6.5, particularly in the summer months, in a game that doesn't involve Miami anyway. And it's because the two starting pitchers have both been outstanding. They both have very similar game logs. Really hard to split. The win-loss record favours Rodriguez and Baltimore. Rodriguez has got one bad start at Houston, but he's largely been excellent. You get good length out of him. And that win-loss record, although can be misleading, it's kind of a good indication that the Orioles do tend to win his start. However, Kirby's in absolutely rude health as well. 31 innings pitched in his last 5 starts. He's given up 5 earned runs. Good game. Neither side is in particularly good form, I wouldn't have said. Baltimore have started losing the odd series, which they hadn't done forever and ever. I mean, I had this down as a pitching duel, Scott, but that 6.5's horribly low. I think in principle, I'd have to take the over. Even just because this could go to extras. Do you know what I mean? It could be such a tight game. This could be a 3-3 or even a 2-2 when we get over in extras. I don't think in good faith I can take under 6.5. I think if you see that number, especially with a team like Baltimore, can hit anybody. You have to take the over, Scott. I've totally changed my mind here. I didn't expect to see 6.5, and I'm going to take the over purely on principle.
Yeah, first things first, shout out to the Astros for catching my dog. Had the -1.5, won by 2. So thank you, Houston. For this actual matchup, give me Seattle first 5. Rodriguez has been horrible on the road, 5.35 ERA. Nobody talks about it, though, because his team's been winning his outings on the road. I saw him against Cleveland last time out, and even though he pitched well, he screwed me over. I had Austin Hedges and no hits, and he gave up a double to Austin Hedges. You know how hard it is to give up a hit to Austin Hedges? He's terrible. Point is, though, I think it was his 3rd extra base hit of the season. So Rodriguez left a sour taste, at least for my bank account, for that last start. But I am going to go with Kirby first 5. He's been great, especially at home. I think that Kirby pitches well here. Rodriguez, though, has been, once again, not very good on the road. So with that being the case, I think give me Seattle to win a low-scoring first 5. I think 2 runs might get there. Maybe 1 run gets there because Kirby's been that good. Give me Seattle first 5. The bullpen's not been very good for Seattle recently, so I'm going to ignore him. So give me Seattle first 5.
The chat's telling me that there's not many 6.5, so there's no 6.5s visible on the book. So yeah, I wouldn't know what to do with the 7. Maybe not good enough to split them. Leroy's cashed the dog today. Well done, Leroy.
I see 7
sorry,
market wide. I was going to say I don't see any 6.5s. I just see 7.
7 and a push. That's what I'll take. I'll take 7 and give me money back when someone wins 4-3. Perfectly happy with that. Last game here is a Cowboy time 10-10 Eastern first pitch between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the LA Dodgers. Ryan Nelson for the D-backs and Bobby Miller goes for the Dodgers. -185 LA, +165 Arizona. Total 8.5. Scott, finish us off with a winner.
Yeah, so I feel like every Dodger game's the same. Do you want to go with the Dodgers to win by a lot of runs? Are you going to take the other team to actually keep it competitive? So I feel like for this matchup, you're getting a price that I understand it. I feel like Nelson's been a guy who we kind of wanted to see more of this season or more from, and he just has not been delivering. Miller, once again, is a guy that I feel like you can make an argument at 190 that sounds about fair because he's been underwhelming, but so is Nelson. So, yeah, I kind of like the over in this game. I don't trust either pitcher to do anything. Arizona offensively has been a bit up and down recently. The Dodgers have been better, I guess, but I am kind of tempted by the over in this game. I don't exactly trust either pitcher to look sharp, and Nelson, I don't think is that good, at least based on the body of work. Miller hasn't pitched many innings this season, and that could be why he's struggling, but 8.5, I don't really like either starter in this matchup. I don't want to lay 190. That's not an option for me with the Dodgers here. So if you want to go for Arizona, I don't mind it per se, but I'll lean to the over. Diamondbacks team total over. I'll fade Miller. I think Miller's numbers, at least for the team total, might be a bit low here based on his form this season. So I'll fade Miller. Give me Arizona team total over.
Yeah, I like the over as well, Scott. I mean, Ryan Nelson, he's really hard to trust. There's nothing that inspires confidence, especially against the Dodgers lineup. He's sitting with a 5.69 ERA for a reason. But Bobby Miller's the key in this, really. It's how you handicap Miller, because he hasn't settled in at all. He's started 5 games now. He's not getting stretched out. He's not sort of incrementally putting together better performances. The trajectory is a little bit off. He's given up loads of walks, and that in itself tells you that he's not comfortable. He hasn't settled. He's given up minimum or sort of 3 walks every start. There might be an angle in there if you can find a 2.5. So I think the Diamondbacks can contribute to the total, even if they give us 3, maybe. That'll help to get us over 8.5, because Ryan Nelson will do that. And so, yeah, over 8.5 for me. I'll take the runs. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is 15 games in the book. Scott, we need a lock and we need a dog before we get on to our home run section. Who do you fancy?
Yeah, so for the lock on the show, I'm trying to think of what I want to go with, because there actually was a lot that I liked. Thought about the Yankees over at 8.5. Not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger on that, but I did think about it. The Reds' offense, though, has been a bit too inconsistent for me, but I do think that the over is a lot better of a play than the under, personally, for that game. I think for the lock, I actually am going to surprise you a bit. Give me the Angels at -115. With Soriano against Spence. I just saw Spence get killed by this team. I think the Angels offensively are not as bad as Oakland. Oakland, I think you said, lost 8 of 9. They've been disastrous. Yes, they're better at home. The team's still horrible, so I'm not going to read too much into it. But looking at the A's offensively, they've scored 1 run in their last 2 games. I'm good. Yeah, sounds good to me. They can't hit, and the Angels did just sweep them in LA about a week ago. So with that being the case, give me the Angels once again to look sharp against this team. Soriano's great on the road. Spence is better at home, but once again, not exactly sold on the A's as a whole at this current point in the season. I think -115 is too cheap. So give me a good play, fading arguably the second or third worst team in the league. You could debate it with the White Sox or with the Rockies, but I think the Angels are better. Give me the Angels -115 as my lock. For my dog, I am going to go back to Ronaldo Lopez. Give me the Braves -1.5, +110. I think it's a good number. The Braves, at the end of the day, are the much better team than the Giants as far as I'm concerned. Lopez, you guessed correctly, has not allowed more than 2 runs in 9 straight starts, so he's been in good form. They've won each of his last 5 starts, I think, by multiple runs. And you got Birdsong on the mound, and yeah, he doesn't sound like a baseball pitcher to me. He sounds more like a Disney character, but he's not been very good so far this season. Give me the Braves, though, at home with Lopez, who has an ERA of like 1.1 at home, which is just insane to me. Give me the Braves -1.5 at +110 as my dog.
Okay. I'm going to have to take a total, I think, as my lock. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to
take
decide
the Yankee
which
game.
one.
I know you want the Yankee game. Just take the Yankee game 8.5.
Yeah, you're right. That's my shortlist is that Colorado game. The Yankees is on there. And I've got one other one. Yeah, well, I'll take the Yankee game. Ashcraft could do this on his own. The Yankees could absolutely tear him apart. But Lewis Hill, the way he's been playing, I mean, Jonathan India's player of the week. We talked about Vladdy, Jonathan India, won player of the week last week as well. So Cincinnati can get a few. And Ashcraft, like I say, could give up all of these. So I'll take the over 8.5 in the Yankee game. I know a few people in the chat were keen on that. And I think as a dog, you've got to take Philly at plus money. You don't often get the chance. We're not very often sitting here talking about Philly at plus money. The pitcher, although obviously we haven't seen him, there's nothing to suggest he's going to turn up and be terrible. And he doesn't have to be brilliant. He just has to keep them in the game. Wesneski can go okay. You talked us through the Cubs bullpen. The Phillies have to be live. They're considerably the better team. +110, just a little puppy. I'll take Philadelphia as my dog. Josh is going the same way. And finally, I will refuse to bow down to Munaf in his tyrannical ways. We are going with dingers. Scott, who's hitting the dinger tomorrow?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to that Brewers game because why not? That game just screams home runs. Both pitchers allow a ton of
It
them.
does.
Yeah, give me McMahon to get the job done in this one. Believe it or not, despite being a lefty, he's actually better against lefties, which is a bit surprising, but he has some reverse slash lines. He's batting .323 against lefties with a .400 on base percentage. He's absolutely nuts against lefty. 5 home runs and 93 plate appearances or at bats. And we know Keuchel's terrible. Keuchel allowed 2 home runs in his first start. He sucks. McMahon, though, if you want to go through the recent numbers, I mentioned his numbers against lefties, which are insane. If you want to go through his home runs, he actually hasn't hit many. He has not hit a home run in 6 straight, so I think that he's in line to get back on track with Keuchel, potentially being the pitcher that he's facing. At home this season, he does have 7 home runs and 143 at bats, so that's good enough for me. Give me Ryan McMahon to go deep against Keuchel.
I hit my last one here, Rafael Devers, last week, and I opened with not a fancy one in Otani, and Christian Walker went very close for me. So I think I'm 2 for 4 with one very near miss. I hope Hayden Birdsong pitches well tomorrow, just because I want to say that name every week on the show from now at the end of the year. However, I do fear for him. I just looked up and down this Braves lineup, and there's quite a lot of people who could potentially hit him out tomorrow. The one I'm going to go with is Marcell Ozuna. I think he's cooled off ever so slightly from that preposterous early season pace that he was setting. But yeah, Ozuna, gnarly old veteran, come up against the wet behind the ears rookie tomorrow and will take him yard. So there you go. Marcell Ozuna for me. Scott, anything else to tell the people about? It's such a busy. I know normally this is kind of the traditional quiet time for sport, where baseball takes centre stage. But so you've got the tennis going on, I've got the Euros going on. So go and find both of those shows, the Premier League Gambling Podcast and the Tennis Gambling Podcast with Scott. And also, obviously, the WNBA, Scott. Anything you want to point us towards?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a penalty shootout end 3-0 before. Just on a separate note, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
That was weird.
It's pretty rough. But either way, yeah, find me on the WNBA Gambling Podcast. Going to do an episode with Terrell tonight. He's been traveling, but according to him, we're going to have an episode at 9, so check that out. Tennis, I'll be back for the second round of the men's side. I do have the women's episode, though, from yesterday, and those matches didn't take place yet, so if you want some bonus picks there, I have you covered. And on the NBA show, we have episodes now during the off-season occasionally. I think we're aiming for 1 or 2 a week, and you have some free agency stuff going on. So keep them busy, but either way, going to be watching the Euros.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, mate. That was really good. Also, I saw some new names pop up in the comments, or new to me at least, which always really, really pleases me. William, Josh, Leroy earlier on, as well as all the usual suspects as well. Trev and Gio, etc. Rubric Ocean was in early doors, so I appreciate all of that. That is really what makes the show for me. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Scott. As Scott said, go and find all the content across the network. Good luck with your picks tomorrow. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow in some iteration or other. And until then, we will see you down the road. Cheers.